Step number 46, we're going to install our electronics package into our chassis. We're really starting to make some headroom here. Again, it's going to be fairly similar to the fuel tank, except for we don't have any rubber gaskets in the four corners. We're going to put posts into the two rearmost holes. We're going to skip the center holes and put two more posts into the front holes that are in between the side brackets. The post that I'm dropping on the floor is the one with the little flats on it. You can see there, as opposed to the front ones, which are just don't have that big base on it. So let's go ahead and install the ones towards the fuel tank, which is the rear, and the flat is going to go towards the chassis. We're going to go ahead and push up until it snaps, and then we're going to take note on the little ones that there's a hole in there. We want that hole to go sideways along the chassis. So we're going to take that one and push it up inside. Sometimes this one can be a little bit tough. We're going to have to put Mr. Bill down here and get a better angle on this thing so that we can get it pushed up inside. These ones have to go through the brace also. So it looks like I'm going to have to get out Mr. Pliers. See if I can get a grip on it here. Doesn't look like pliers are going to do it. Yeah, it looks like it will. Come on. There we go. Just push those little puppy up until it's pretty much flush in there. And I did get a little bit sideways on it, so we're going to straighten it out. Just like that. Once it's in there, it's pretty much in, and you can still move it. Let's go ahead and do that on the other side, again with the flat towards the back. Push that one in. And I'm going to take this one and see if it's going to go in for us. Nope, that one's going to be tough. We're going to try something a little different this time. And we are going to use an Allen wrench. And it pops right in. Those are always a little bit difficult. Okay. Now we have our four posts in for the electronics package. Now we're going to put the electronics package in with the servo facing towards the front. And we're going to drop it down onto the four posts. And it can get a little tricky, but you have to wiggle it around until it fully seats. And you're going to take a look at the little side posts here and make sure that the ear is sitting all the way down on top of the chassis. If it's not, then normally the hang-up is on the bottom here. There's two little nubs on the bottom of the radio box that have to fit down through the chassis. So you're just going to have to wiggle it and press on it until it falls down in. And then we are going to get four of our little clips and drop one on the floor. That's mandatory. And we're going to go ahead and clip in the radio. The ones here are kind of hard to get at sometimes. Clip that one in. So we're going to try and use a pair of needle nose. See what happens here. You know what? We're actually going to turn those. I forgot this is a truck and not a buggy. So we're going to grab that and we're going to turn that little dealie around, and that will allow us to put the clip in from the side. Once you take these in and out about a dozen times, they loosen up and you can do it much easier. Come on. There we go. Now our radio box is held in. And the last thing we're going to do is skip really quick to number 47, end of 46 and 47. We're going to go ahead and hook up the servo arm, or the servo linkage, for the steering to the servo saver. And we're going to take a look at the alignment on the front end. However, we will be doing a final alignment at the end of the build. So what we're going to do is go ahead and position the servo saver so that it's fairly square. Kind of hard to do on the stand here, which is right here. You can see the little hole in the top of the servo saver, and we're going to put the stud that is on the servo linkage down in there and screw it in. The angle is going to be fun here, but I'll try to get it on the camera. Best thing that we usually do is to hook up the wrench to the stud. Go ahead and align the stud and bring the wrench down to it until it meets the hole and screw it in. Now, one of the little idiosyncrasies of doing this is that sometimes the little nut that is in that servo saver likes to slide out, and that way you can't really find it and get a thread grip onto it while you're trying to screw it in. So if you take a look at the back, there's a hole here, and what you're going to do is take your wrench and stick it up in and hold that nut in there while from the other side you're screwing it in until it hits the thread, and then you can take that off and get it going. So that concludes installing the box. Now let's go ahead and put this at the 1 o'clock, basically like we showed you earlier. Let's take a look at the front wheels, and they should be almost exactly straight. And we're going to put a fine adjustment on those later on. We're moving right along here. We get to start on the rear of the RC here real soon. So we're going to go ahead and put this whole sub-assembly that we've built to the side, and we're going to start working on the rear chassis. Step number 48. Pretty easy. Open bag D. So I have faith you can do that. Now moving forward, step number 49. We're going to grab the two part numbers what the book is calling 85422-1, which are these little widgets. They're actually nut holders. And we've gone ahead and inserted the nuts into them. There's 4 of them. However, again, that's on that same tree that they keep referring to as tree number 85422, which is actually this tree again. And the tree number is somewhere on here. I've read it to you a million times, but oh well, that's the tree that it's on. It's a different one than what's mentioned in the book. So, we've gone ahead and pre-installed our 4 nuts. And that is step number 49. So let's get our 2 bulkheads out for step number 50. Okay, What we're going to do at this point is I've pre-installed the nuts. There are 2 nuts that go in the bottom here, and there's 2 very small ones that go into this spot here on this bulkhead. On this one there are 4. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And get that all done. And we are now going to install our little nut holders into the bulkheads. So we're going to hold this bulkhead with the little nubs that are here towards the back. Now we're going to slip. You can see there's a little concave on here. We're going to slip that in with the concave that's on the bulkhead. Go ahead and press it in. You can take a look at the bottom and make sure that it's properly aligned. We're going to do that on both sides. They fit in basically flush. And again, just check your alignment through the holes in the bottom. We're going to repeat the process here on the second bulkhead, and we're going to hold it with, you can see some bevels here. We're going to hold that with the bevels to the back. And again, we're going to line up the concave on the bolt holder with the bulkhead, slip it in, and make sure it's aligned. If you're having trouble getting them in, check and make sure you've properly shaved off your spars. There we go. Look at that. So that is what is involved in step number 50. We're going to go on to step number 51. So go ahead and grab your couple of extra pieces that we'll be needing, and let's rock and roll.